The Metropolitan Transportation Authority is a public benefit corporation responsible for public transportation in the U.S. state of New York, serving 12 counties in southeastern New York, along with 2 counties in southwestern Connecticut under contract to the Connecticut Department of Transportation, carrying over 11 million passengers on an average weekday system-wide, and over 800,000 vehicles on its 7 toll bridges and 2 tunnels per weekday. History: chartered by the New York State Legislature in 1965 as the Metropolitan Commuter Transportation Authority, it was initially created by Governor Nelson Rockefeller to purchase and operate the bankrupt Long Island Railroad. The MCTA dropped the word commuter from its name and became the Metropolitan Transportation Authority in 1968 when it took over operations of the New York City Transit Authority and Tri-Borough Bridge and Tunnel Authority, now MTA New York City Transit and MTA Bridges and Tunnels respectively. The agency also entered into a long-term lease of the Penn Central Transportation's Hudson, Harlem and New Haven commuter rail lines, contracting their subsidized operation to Penn Central, until that company's operations were folded into Conrail in 1976. The MTA took over full operations in 1983, as the Metro-North Commuter Railroad. Governor Rockefeller appointed his top aide, Dr. William J. Ronan, as chairman and chief executive officer. Dr. Ronan served in this post until 1974. Responsibilities and service area. The MTA has the responsibility for developing and implementing a unified mass transportation policy for the New York metropolitan area, including all 5 boroughs of New York City and the suburban counties of Dutchess, Nassau, Orange, Putnam, Rockland, Suffolk and Westchester, all of which together are the Metropolitan Commuter Transportation District. Thomas F. Prendergast is currently the chairman and CEO of the MTA. The MTA's immediate past chairpersons were William J. Ronan, David Unick, Harold Fisher, Richard Ravitch, Robert Kiley, Peter Stangl, Virgil Conway, Peter S. Calico, H. Dale Hummerdinger, J. Walder, and Joseph Lota. The MTA is the largest regional public transportation provider in the Western Hemisphere. Its agencies serve a region of approximately 14.6 million people spread over 5,000 square miles in 12 New York counties and 2 in Connecticut. MTA agencies now move more than 8.5 million customers per day and employ approximately 65,000 workers. The MTA's systems carry over 11 million passengers on an average weekday system-wide, and over 800,000 vehicles on its 7 toll bridges and 2 tunnels per weekday. Subsidiaries and affiliates. MTA carries out these planning and other responsibilities both directly and through its subsidiaries and affiliates, and provides oversight to these subordinate agencies, known collectively as the related entities. The related entities represent a number of previously existing agencies which have come under the MTA umbrella. In turn, these previously existing agencies were successors to the property of private companies that provided substantially the same services. Each of these related entities has a popular name and in some cases, a former, legal name. The popular names were part of an overall corporate identification effort in 1994 to eliminate the confusion over the affiliations of the various authorities that were part of the MTA. Legal names have since only been used for legal documents, such as contracts, and have not been used publicly. However, since the mid-2000s, the popular name has also been used for legal documents related to contract procurements where the legal name was used heretofore. Both are listed below. Subsidiary agencies MTA Long Island Railroad, legal name no longer used publicly, the Long Island Railroad Company, MTA Metro-North Railroad, legal name no longer used publicly, Metro-North Commuter Railroad Company, MTA Staten Island Railway, legal name no longer used publicly, Staten Island Rapid Transit Operating Authority, MTA Bridges and Tunnels, legal name no longer used publicly, Tri-Borough Bridge and Tunnel Authority, MTA Capital Construction, legal name not used publicly, MTA Capital Construction Company, MTA Regional Bus Operations, MTA Bus, legal name sometimes used publicly, MTA Bus Company, MTA New York City Bus. Affiliate agencies MTA New York City Transit, legal name no longer publicly used, New York City Transit Authority and its subsidiary, the Manhattan and Bronx Surface Transit Operating Authority. Note: the bus division is now managed under Regional Bus Governance. The MTA is governed by a 19-member board representing the 5 boroughs of New York City and each of the counties in its New York State service area. 5 members, in addition to the chairman and CEO, are directly nominated by the Governor of New York, with 4 recommended by New York City unregistered trademark mayor, and 1 each by the county executives of Nassau, Suffolk and Westchester counties. Each of these members has 1 vote. The county executives of Dutchess, Orange, Rockland, and Putnam counties also nominate 1 member each, but these members cast 1 collective vote. The board also has 6 rotating non-voting seats held by representatives of MTA employee organized labor and the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee, which serves as a voice for users of MTA transit and commuter facilities. All board members are confirmed by the New York State Senate. Service animal policy: service animals, including guide dogs, are allowed on MTA public transportation in accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, if the dog meets the law's definition of a service animal. In 2013, a Brooklyn federal court judge ordered the MTA to pay a 70-year-old Manhattan woman $150,000 to settle a lawsuit over her service animal. The judge ruled that the MTA had violated the ADA when its drivers, motormen, and conductors had either denied the woman access to transportation with her dog or improperly demanded to see its papers. Budget gaps: the budget deficit of the MTA is a growing crisis for the organization as well as New York City and state residents and legislature. The MTA held $31 billion in debt in 2010 and it also suffered from a $900 million gap in its operating budget for 2011. The capital budget, which covers repairs, technological upgrades, new trains, and expansions, is currently $15 billion short of what the MTA states it needs. If this is not funded, the MTA will fund the repairs with debt and raise fares to cover repayments. The MTA has consistently run on a deficit, but increased spending in 2004 coupled with the economic downturn led to a severe increase in the financial burden that the MTA bore. The budget problems stem from multiple sources. The MTA cannot be supported solely by rider fares and road tolls. In the preliminary 2011 budget, MTA forecasted operating revenue totaled at $6.5 billion, amount to only 50% of the $13 billion operating expenses. Therefore, the MTA must rely on other sources of funding to remain operational. Revenue collected from real estate taxes for transportation purposes helped to contain the deficit. However, due to the weak economy and unstable real estate market, money from these taxes severely decreased. In 2010, tax revenue fell at least 20% short of the projected value. Beyond this, steadily reducing support from city and state governments led to borrowing money by issuing bonds, which contributed heavily to the debt. This budget deficit has resulted in various problems, mainly concentrated in New York City. New York City subway fares have been increased 4 times since 2008, with the most recent occurring March 3, 2013. Raising single-ride fares from $2.25 to $2.50, express service from $5.50 to $6 and the monthly Metro card fare from $104 to $112. Each fare raise was met with increasing resistance by MTA customers, and many are beginning to find the fare increases prohibitive. 2010 also saw heavy service cuts for many MTA subsidiaries. Fewer trains spaced farther between resulted in heavy overcrowding beyond normal rush hours, leading to frustration for many subway and bus riders. In 2013, the subway had the highest ridership since 1947. MTA employees also suffered due to the budget issues. By mid-July 2010, MTA layoffs had reached over 1,000, and many of those affected were low-level employees who made less than $55,000 annually. As of 2015, the the MTA was running a $15 billion deficit in its $32 billion 2015-2019 capital plan. Without extra funding, many necessary construction and renovation projects would not be performed. Advertisement controversies. The MTA refused to display an ad in the New York City subway system in 2012, which read, "In any war between the civilized man and the savage, support the civilized man. Support Israel. Defeat Jihad." The authority's decision was overturned in July 2012 when Judge Paul A. Engelmayer of the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York ruled that the ad of the American Freedom Defense Initiative is protected speech under the First Amendment, and that the MTA's actions were unconstitutional. The judge held in a 35-page opinion that the rejected ad was not only protected speech it is called political speech, which as such is afforded the highest level of protection under the First Amendment. The MTA had received $116.4 million in revenue in 2011 from advertising sold throughout its subway, commuter rail, and bus systems. In April 2015, another ad became the subject of controversy when the MTA refused to display it. The refusal was again challenged in court, and the MTA again lost in court and was ordered by a federal judge to display the ad. The ad showed a menacing man wearing a scarf around his head and face, and included a quotation, "Killing Jews is worship that draws us close to Allah," which was attributed to Hamas MTV, and then stated, "That's his jihad. What's yours?" The ad included a disclaimer that the display of the ad not imply an MTA endorsement. U.S. District Judge John Koeltl of the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York in Manhattan said the ad of the American Freedom Defense Initiative, which had earlier run in Chicago and San Francisco, was protected speech under the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. He ordered the MTA to display the ad on its buses, rejecting the MTA's argument that the ad might incite terrorism or imminent violence. Pamela Geller, president of the group that sued the MTA in order to run the ads, lauded the decision, and a lawyer for the organization said the decision followed similar rulings in Washington and Philadelphia. The MTA collected $138 million from advertising on its trains and buses in 2014. A week afterward, the MTA's board in a 9-2 vote banned all political, religious, and opinion advertisements on subways and buses, limiting any ads to commercial ones. Specifically, it banned advertisements that prominently or predominantly advocate or express a political message about disputed economic, political, moral, religious or social issues, and any ad that promotes or opposes a political party, ballot referendum, and the election of any candidate. The board estimated that the ads that the board was banning made up less than $1 million of the MTA's annual $138 million advertising revenue. Nevertheless, lawyers for the American Freedom Defense Initiative called the MTA's action a disingenuous attempt to circumvent the judge's order. See also: Transportation in New York City, Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. References. External links, official links. Official website, Metropolitan Transportation Authority's channel on YouTube. Other links, Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA, Pike Strap Hangers Campaign, a transit riders advocacy group, Metropolitan Transportation Authority in the New York Codes, Rules and Regulations.